So I mentioned before, the orienting in the case where the situation is pretty intense is going to be a very intense reorganization of our organism. And if you think in terms of bottom-up, that means it's not just an intellectual reorganization. It's not just something like the computer just spews out some sentences that are instructions that have no emotional meaning. Our emotions are actually very intricately related to our reactions. Emotion has to do with motion. If you want, emotion can be the perception, the lived experience of what it is, of our reaction to a given situation. And there is kind of a bidirectional effect as to some extent, maybe the reaction exists at the same time as it is felt, or maybe it is felt, a little bit before it actually manifests. I'm not quite sure. But one way or another, the two are very linked. So, and how it is felt is that there is actually a reorganization taking place, which is a reorganization not just of abstract ideas, but of the body preparing to take action. So if you think in terms of this orienting, what it is the whole organism is sensing something that's happening in the environment, and the more important it is, obviously the stronger this reorganization will be, and the whole organism is preparing to take action, to go toward, to go away from, to recoil, to whatever it is that it's going to do, but the reaction is going to be actually a physical reaction. Now, it doesn't just happen this way when we are talking about encounters. I'm not just talking about what happens to you, say, when somebody is coming toward you with a club, trying to club you, or somebody is coming toward you with open arms and welcoming you, smiling. I'm also talking about situations that seem to be abstract, that seem to be about thoughts, that seem to be about ideas. Even say on your own you're thinking about something and you say, oh, what do I want to do? Do I want to go to this place or that place? Do I want to, So even in those kinds of moments, if you think about it, basically it's going to be coded in terms of operating system language and in terms of basic experience. The more intense that situation is, the more it's going to be coded in simple terms. That is, wow, this is good, I want to go toward, I want this, or this is horrible, I want out, or I'm fighting this, okay? So I'm demonstrating this with movement because the coding is actually something that involves not just the idea of going toward or going away from, but involves the preparation for it, involves the whole organism really being already, at the very least rehearsing it and maybe even starting the movement. So how do you then notice this orienting? And this is where I'm inviting you to pay attention to physical sensation, to paying attention to what's happening inside. So what's happening inside in terms of felt sense. In other words, something where you pay attention to the general sense of the situation. You're not trying to think about it so much. You're certainly not trying to analyze it. But you're paying attention to how you feel as a whole. In a more down-to-earth way, not just a felt sense, but also paying attention to what's happening in your body. So, as a therapist, for instance, when I deal with clients, I pay attention to body language, I pay attention to where things are.